What's the problem with healthcare from the perspective of medtech and the pharma industry? Around the world, we spend something like $8 to $9 trillion a year on healthcare. And of that, about a quarter is represented by spending on drugs, devices, IT, and the built infrastructure in healthcare. So business plays a huge part in healthcare systems. But it faces several challenges. And in this video, I'm going to pick out the ones that you need to bear in mind as innovators. Let me start by asking you a question. How fast does medical knowledge double? The medical knowledge doubles every 5 to 8 years. So the pace of science is huge in healthcare. And let me ask a follow-up question. How long does it typically take for healthcare innovations to be adopted? Again, there are many estimates, but one that's much cited is 17 years from launch onto the market to widespread adoption. So the science isn't really the problem. There's plenty of science. The first challenge, though, is that there's a disconnect between the fast pace of change in medical science and the translation of this into technological innovation that is actually taken up into everyday use in healthcare. Later in this module, we'll be looking in detail about why there's an adoption problem for many healthcare innovations. The second challenge is that health systems are very complex. They involve many organizations, professional and financial silos. And for innovators, engaging with the right parts of the system can often be very hard. Who do you turn to get your adoption adopted? The complexity of the health system can also mean that decision-making about the adoption of an innovation is slow. This is especially the case when the impact of the innovation can cut across many different parts of the system and involve many different stakeholders. For instance, telehealth, remote monitoring of patients, might require organizational and process innovation to bring together primary, secondary, and social care providers. Everyone has to be involved in the decision to adopt. Or a new point-of-care diagnostic test might be delivered by a GP in the home, but it has ramifications for existing pathology services in a hospital. My third challenge relates to the complexity of health systems and healthcare innovations themselves. It can be hard to develop a business case for an innovation because it's not always clear what the innovation actually is. It may be a bit of organizational change, it may be a bit of technology, but it's very difficult to pin down where the impact lies in the healthcare system. And the impact might be unpredictable. It may impact on parts of the system that the actual purchaser is not responsible. So pinning down what the boundaries of the innovation are is difficult, and that makes it difficult to gather evidence for the benefits, and that makes it difficult to translate that evidence into costs and benefits and a business case. My final challenge is that in recent years, the innovation productivity of health tech companies has been declining. What does this mean in practice? Pharma companies are spending more and more on research and development to get less and less innovation out of it. And to some extent, this is being replicated in medical devices companies as well. Of course, this innovation productivity challenge isn't something that's happening right across the board. There's clearly a huge amount of cutting-edge innovation in medtech and biopharma. But there are nevertheless concerns that the low-hanging fruit has been plucked. The easy targets have been addressed by technological innovation. And what we're left with now is the much harder problem of an aging society